So we made the Sicilian version of eggplant parm. We made the Naples version, which has flour and egg wash and pecorino romano cheese. This is the last, well, not the last, we might do eggplant parm heroes, but this is the Italian American version of eggplant parmesan. It's a little different than the other two versions. This one has breadcrumbs. It's a delicious one too. It's coming up right now.
Here's all of the ingredients you need for Italian American eggplant parmesan. So lots of eggplant, have them cut into discs already. Here's that marinara sauce. I've used it in so many different recipes already. Check out my full video if you need the recipe instructions for that, but it's a simple sauce and you're gonna need about 3 to 4 cups of it for this dish. You're also gonna need Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, a bunch of basil, and mozzarella cheese. You'll also need eggs and flour. Here's seasoned breadcrumbs. And we're gonna season them up a little bit more too. For the first step, you're gonna cut your mozzarella cheese into slices. Now you could also shred it. And if you do decide to cut it like that, putting it in the freezer for 30 minutes makes it easier. Here's those breadcrumbs. I'm gonna season them up even more with about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. Here's all that eggplant. Now, I did it in the last 2 different eggplant parm recipe videos. I went into it more, how you salt them. You can put cans on them to weigh it down more. But what it's gonna do is the longer you let the salt sit on them, it's gonna pull a ton of water out. After all that salt goes on, you take a paper towel and you can dry it off a lot more to remove all that excess moisture and a lot of the salt. And you can see how much water is there in the plate. In addition, for this recipe, a lot of people like the eggplant peeled. You can do that as well. I just left the eggplant skin on. Crack a couple eggs. And you don't have to do all 5 of them right now because you might not need them all depending on how many discs you have and how thick they are. So maybe crack 3 of them to start and get your oil going. So this is regular olive oil, not extra virgin olive oil. I don't fry in extra virgin olive oil. I don't think you should either. And you want to get that oil to about 350. So here's the whole frying station set up. We have our eggplant, our flour, our eggs, and our seasoned breadcrumbs, and it's gonna go in the oil. Now I'm using the back of my wooden spoon to check if the oil is good. It's not good yet. Also, that wired rack is gonna be where we put it when we're done with the frying. So right here, you can see the bubbles are coming up a little bit. That means the oil's good. If you want an exact amount, use an oil thermometer and get it to 350 to 365, around there. But you'll get the hang of this the more you do it. So you're gonna take a piece of eggplant, you're gonna dust it in flour, shake off the excess, get it in the egg wash, shake off that excess, dip it in your breadcrumbs. And this is why it's good to have a really big tray of the breadcrumbs. It makes it easier to adequately coat the eggplant. Shake off that excess and put it into the oil, the eggplant disc into the oil away from you, so the oil doesn't potentially splash you. And I'm gonna get about 4 or 5 pieces in here. This is all gonna be dependent on how large of a pan you use. And that's a long piece there. You could use long pieces too. You cut them either way you want. Restaurants, pizzerias, normally they'll cut them long ways because they're using a meat slicer to do this. And that's how they do everything so efficiently and fast. You know, that they'll make 15 trays of this. But we're making 1 tray today. So you fry them up. They're gonna take about 3-4 minutes per side. You're gonna get really golden brown. If your oil's a little too high, just lower it a little bit. You know, using a gas flame like I have here is a heck of a lot easier than using an electric. That's why you always see me cooking here on this little gas portable, because I don't have a big gas. So I'm pointing with my fork, pushing in there, make sure it's soft to pieces. When they're pretty good and soft, I'm gonna put them on that wired rack. You could also use paper towels on a baking tray, on a dish, whatever. I'm using both here. I want to remove as much excess olive oil as I can because the eggplant tends to be a little oily. So we're gonna set up our station. My sauce is a little on the thick side too, which helps this. You don't want to use a lot of oil really for your marinara for this because you have a lot of oil in the eggplant already from the fry. So take about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of sauce on the bottom here. That's going to help the eggplant not stick. And we're going to need our cheese, both cheeses. We're going to need basil. We're going to use this, all 3 of these ingredients on top of the eggplant to assemble each layer. So here's layer 1. I'm going to put the eggplant in there as best we can. This is an oval baking dish, so pieces aren't going to fit uniformly. So you do the best you can. You try to fit them in as best you can. But if you have to, you can do a little eggplant surgery. Just point to a knife. Just cut a piece, and like if you want to fill in that little spot there, go for it. Right there too. You don't have to be perfect on this. I figured I'd show you. See, I cut off a couple pieces. That's what the eggplant is here for. You don't have to leave them exactly how the size that they were. Just cut them what you need. I'm gonna add that sauce, a nice hefty layer of sauce again for the second level. TikTok. It just came on my phone that you posted. And really get it on there. Oh. All right. And then you can add your mozzarella cheese. Now you can use shredded too. These are sliced pieces. Use fresh mozzarella that you can just tear. I like to use a regular block mozzarella. It tends to melt better than the fresh mozzarella. Also take a couple basil leaves, tear them. I'm just putting a couple pieces like that. If you like more basil, use more basil. If you like less, use less. And here's the Parmigiano Reggiano. I recommend that you use a lot of this on each level. You're making eggplant parm here, that's the cheese you want to use. What's up, Sam? So yeah, I'm going to use a lot of it. And that's how one layer will look. So you can do the same exact thing for the second layer. More sauce, more cheese, more basil. And that's looking real good. You can see how good this looks. You can just tell this is going to be a great dish. It's really simple when you think about it. You're just assembling it. That sauce on the last layer, that's it. We're not going to put the mozzarella cheese because we don't want it to burn. I'm going to bake this in the oven for about 30 minutes on 350. And during the last 5, you can put the mozzarella on and then broil it or melt it.
Watch those other eggplant parms. Watch this whole series because it's going to show you exactly which one. It's going to let you know which one you like the most. And you might like it one way, I might like it another way, and that's fine. Also subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I'll see you next time.